Okay, thank you.
He's good. Ditto. There's a twist, though. I catch it. Good job. I was just asking Mark, where's our fire watch?
Eileen wants to go to the police officer.
Yes, that's a good idea.
He was going to sign up.
Good idea. They don't search everybody.
Hey, Mike.
Orange Fire Department's on its way, and that's why you step outside.
Yeah, because I get fined from over 99 people in the sprinkler system. So.
Fire Department is aware. One of them actually is on the site now. Because they don't allow it. Long story short.
Good evening and welcome to the Lawrence City Council meeting. Today is Tuesday, July 11th, 2017. Mr. Clerk, roll call, please.
Council Reyes.
Present.
Council DePena. Council Rodriguez.
Yes, present.
Councilor Abdu.
Present.
Council Ortiz. Council Maldonado.
Present.
Council Alvarez Rodriguez.
Present.
Council Vice President LaPlante. And Council President Vasquez.
Present. Please note that Councilor Brian DePena excused himself. He had a family emergency. Also, Councilor Maya Ortiz excusing herself, and she's going to be arriving a few minutes late. Can you please join me for a moment of silence and meditation? Thank you. Now please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Councilors, can I please get a motion to approve the minutes from June 6, 2017?
So move.
Second.
Motion has been made and properly second. Is there any discussion? Seeing there's none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Public participation. Please note that you will have 2.5 minutes to speak. Please identify yourself with name and address for the record. By the time you hear the first bell, that means that you have 2 minutes. By the time you hear the second bell, your time is up. Please be respectful of the time. First person is Ms.
Point of order. Council President, in the past, when we have so many people, we have reached consensus that we should keep it to 2 minutes to provide more space for people to speak.
Do you make that informal motion, Councilor Alvarez Rodriguez?
I will, yes.
There's a motion on the floor.
Second.
It's been properly second. Any discussion? Seeing there's none. The motion to everyone in the audience is that we will limit anyone who speaks in public participation to 2 minutes. We usually give everyone 2.5 minutes to speak. The motion is to limit it to 2 minutes. There's a motion on the floor. Any further discussion? Seeing there's
Just discussion.
discussion, Councilor Alvarez Rodriguez.
Just quickly, I want people to understand that the reason why I'm proposing this is so more people have an opportunity to speak. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing there's none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Mr. Clerk, roll call, please.
Council Reyes.
Yes.
Council Reyes, excuse me, yes?
Yes.
Council DePena, noted. Council Rodriguez.
No.
Councilor Abdu.
Yes.
Councilor Ortiz, noted. Councilor Maldonado.
Yes.
Councilor Alvarez Rodriguez.
Yes.
Council Vice President LaPlante.
Yes.
And Council President Vasquez.
Yes.
6, 1 no.
Motion carries. First person is Victor Harveys.
Muy buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Víctor Harvis, pastor de la Iglesia
Please
Cristiana del
note,
Ser.
Mr. Harveys, if there's anyone in the audience that wishes to translate for Mr. Harveys, the City Council is not able to provide translation services to him.
Sí. La iglesia está ubicada en el 327 de la Haver Street.
Our church is located in Havel Street,
Y cuando termine mi exposición me voy a mover
and when I finish my position, I'm going to move
para permitir que otro se pueda sentar,
to allow someone else to sit.
no porque esté al lado de nuestro distinguido alcalde.
Not because I'm next to our distinguished mayor,
Y me siento contento que él esté con nosotros en el día de hoy,
and I'm happy that he's among us today,
porque en el periódico de hoy,
because today's newspaper,
en primera plana,
in the front page,
el alcalde de Methuen
Thuen's mayor,
fijó su posición
he said his position
con relación
with relation
a la venta y la comercialización de la marihuana.
of the selling of marijuana.
De esa misma forma,
In that same form,
me gustaría escuchar
I would like to listen to
la posición
the position
de nuestro alcalde.
of our mayor.
Estamos en contra de que en esta ciudad
We are against that in this city,
se establezcan negocios de marihuana
business would be established regarding marijuana
por los efectos nocivos de la marihuana.
for the different effects of the marijuana.
El fumar marihuana
And smoking marijuana,
provoca taquicardia,
it provokes
desorientación,
disorientation,
falta de coordinación física.
fault of physical
puede provocar depresión
It could provide depression,
y el humo contagioso provoca
and the smoke also
más del 50 al 70%
it consumes more than 50%
de la sustancia que causa cáncer
of the substance that cause cancer,
del humo del tabaco.
like tobacco smoke.
La marihuana puede provocar esterilidad parcial en los hombres.
Marijuana can also produce partial blindness.
Cuando una mujer va a un hospital, when women go to a hospital
When women go to the hospital
y está embarazada,
and she's pregnant,
el médico
Mr.
le
Harvey?
advierte
time's up.
Time's up.
del daño que le hace la marihuana.
Thank you, Mr. Harvey.
Finalmente, quiero decirles que yo voy a estar pendiente de cómo
Thank you,
ustedes
Mr.
voten
Harvey.
para orar por ustedes.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Gracias.
Next person is Mr. H. Malley.
Good
Our
evening,
secretary will
honorable
read-
members. Now, in the eve of election 2017, our city in a state of emergency because of multiple murders and shooting. We demand of Mayor Rivera and this council support our police department and our senior officers union. Our police department, under impeccable leadership of Honorable Chief Fitzpatrick, has done an excellent job to protect our citizens. We are united to ask Mayor Rivera a few days before say goodbye to this city hall, sign our police department and police officers contract. We demand of you support our hard-working DPW worker. Our public school is now the best public school. Honorable Superintendent Raleigh revive our public school. Now Lawrence Public School with more high school graduate, more MCAS improvement. We are united to support our teachers and their union. More than 31 citizens died last 4 years. Mayor Rivera and citizens are asking for safe city. Death in Broadway, death in Avon, Paulino decapitation has been the worst record of the safety. Mayor Rivera appoint the head of department that are not in concern about our publics. Remember your campaign promise, save Lawrence, prosper Lawrence, only possible. You and Mayor Rivera support our police department and their union, our firefighters and DPW workers. We the citizens united to request of Mayor Rivera in the last days before election 2017, sign our police officers contract. Let's move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Malley. Next person, your Cameron, she said that she will wait for time. Gabriel Garcia.
Hello, my name is Gabriel Garcia. I asked the City Council to look into number 336/16, the 39 Bennington Street property and 39
Garcia.
Bennington Street, Lawrence, Massachusetts property. We put an offer on 39 Bennington Street because the City Planning Development Committee requested proposals for repairing the property. After the first round proposals, the department informed me that although my team had the best proposal, gave the city the same amount of money as the top proposal submitted, but was most detailed and offered a single-family housing opportunity for a first-time home buyer, we would not be given the project. The property went back on the market, and during the second round of requests for proposals came up, and that time we submitted the most money to the city, but were still denied the project. I would ask the City Council to review all submitted RFPs for 39 Bennington Street to determine why, even though we offered the most to the city, we were undercut. I believe that there is corruption and a lack of fair leadership, which the people of Lawrence are victims of.
Mr. Garcia, can you please identify your address?
My address is 9 Westminster Ave in Haverhill, Massachusetts. And this is my partner here, Francis. He is a resident of Lawrence.
Yeah. Thank you.
Council President, would you please give the item?
What was the document number?
336/16. I have both RFPs for the first round and the second round, and I would love to send them to anyone here.
Thank you very much, Mr. Garcia.
Just for the record.
Next person is Gustavo Mendieta. Name and address for the record, please.
Honorable ladies and gentlemen, my name is Gustavo Mendieta. I grew up in Lawrence all my life. Now I live in North Andover, 1103 Acorn Drive, but I am still a Lawrence homeboy. And the reason I'm here is because I cannot stand seeing my city where I grew up, as tough as it was back in the 70s and 80s, still can't get out of this rut, out of this sinking ship. And the reason for that is its moral fiber is gone. Its moral fiber is gone because even right now, even though the citizens of this city have voted against this proposal, including all the other Merrimack towns, Merrimack Valley towns of Methuen, North Andover, and Andover, we still have people, politicians maybe, I don't know, but someone is behind trying to get this into our city. I'm sick and tired of seeing my city, and it's still my city. I still love this city with all my heart, and I'm still sick and tired of seeing my city being used as a garbage dump. With that, I am pleading with everyone, please don't look at the money in this, look at the city of Lawrence, look at its residents, and see what good does it do to have legalized marijuana for sale, if not in one corner, maybe at every corner. It was just a few years ago, back in the 70s when I was growing up, you had strip joints. I don't see any strip joints today. Why is that? Because the city did gain back its moral fiber. So I ask the city council to please reconsider and not vote for this proposal. Do not approve this proposal. Please help the city of Lawrence. Please help people like me who no longer live in the city but still have its roots and cannot leave the city to its destruction. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mendieta. Please hold your applause. Mr. Diácono Gustavo Castillo. Name and address for the record, please.
Oh, another Gustavo.
Please, for the tradition. Sí, por favor. Buenas noches.
Su nombre y su dirección.
Diácono Jesús Castillo,
Jesús Castillo,
de la parroquia Santa María de la Asunción.
from St. Mary's Assumptions.
Quiero dirigirme a ustedes, autoridades de Lawrence,
I want to speak to your authority, that your authority, Lawrence,
para manifestarle mi gran preocupación
to manifest my great concern
por los muchos problemas que ya tenemos en nuestra ciudad
for the many problems that we already have in our city,
y el cual no hemos podido encontrar soluciones.
in which we have not been able to seek solutions.
Si traemos un nuevo problema
And yet we find a new problem
sin haber nosotros resuelto todos aquellos problemas que tenemos acumulados,
without having been able to resolve all those problems that we have accumulated.
nuestra ciudad va a estar en grave peligro.
Our city will be in great danger.
Estamos perdiendo a nuestros jóvenes
We are losing our youth.
y es una luz de alerta para que nosotros podamos trabajar arduamente para salvar a nuestra juventud.
And it's a light of alert so we could work together to save our youth.
La comercialización de la marihuana
The commercialization,
Commercializing.
the sale of marijuana
va a traer como consecuencia
will bring as consequence
el aumento de la criminalidad
the amount of crime
y muchos más graves problemas.
and greater problems.
Espero que pongamos firme propósito en evitar que se comercialice la marihuana en esta ciudad y en cualquier lugar que nos corresponda a nosotros como persona humana y trabajador por la paz y la justicia.
I hope we take it serious and not pass the law to commercialize marijuana in our city and all surrounding cities.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much.
Jeff De Santos.
And someone won't need translation. My name is Jeff De Santos, 179 Exchange Street. The reason why I'm here is because I'm also concerned about the marijuana. I understand that some people say that it'll bring income to the city, but I personally don't think that's the best solution to bring income to the city. Not only would it make it harder for the police to do their job, and being able to, how would you be able to even find out who's smoking? Like right now, what I'm trying to say is, we have a problem with cigarettes, and cigarettes, we know it's bad. Weed, we know the effects that it has, and it might not be as serious as other drugs, but it's still considered a gateway. And my concern is, if we allow the commercialization, excuse me. Thank you, Josh. Can you say that? Commercialization. What he said. Of weed, it's gonna just bring more problems. It's gonna cause more drama, more problems, and gonna make it harder for the police to do the job, and people are just gonna take it as a joke. I think there's better solutions to raise money and to bring more money into the city. I don't think this is the best solution. On top of that, as we saw here and see in this paper, according to Lawrence Methuen Community Coalition, it clearly states that the majority of the people in Lawrence do not want the weed to be even legal, and much less being sold. So that's my position. I hope you guys feel the same way. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Santos. Next person is Stephen Gill. Name and address for the record, please.
Hello, how you doing? Stephen Gill, 8 Bowie Street. I've been a healthcare practitioner in the city of Lawrence for the last 20 years, and I also sit as vice chair of the Board of Health of the city of Lawrence. I came to vote, and I'm actually pro-marijuana. I'm sure they're going to throw tomatoes at me. I've been here for a while and hearing people, and they all talk about the stigma. If you want to talk about a real issue in Lawrence, it's more of the opiate issue. There are case studies out there that say the opiate epidemic can go down as much as 20%. Everybody says that marijuana is a gateway drug. There are actually cities in Maine that they actually have people who are addicted to opiates work on farms, and they take the CBD aspect of the marijuana and use that to detox. There is a big issue with opiate issues in the city of Lawrence. I think marijuana is being sold right now. I could probably name 10 corners that marijuana is being sold right now, and people are doing it. Why don't we tax it and try to make something positive of it? It isn't just marijuana. There are marijuana seeds that are used in the nutraceutical aspects. There is hemp, a byproduct of marijuana that people use actually do clothing and create other stuff. Marijuana is just this umbrella that people want to hate. I grew up in a Dominican, and my mother told me marijuana was the worst thing ever. It was compared to sniffing glue, because that's the stigma they had. I love the church. I go to church every day, but I think they bring a bus from the church to petition against this. I really challenge anybody to sit down with me and have a conversation, a candid conversation, and really be able to take in the information, the pros and the cons of marijuana. Everybody here has closed eyes, and they say marijuana, it's bad. I'm here as a fellow Lawrencian, a longtime healthcare practitioner, and an appointed health official of the city of Lawrence, saying that I believe marijuana should be passed. Thank you very much.
Next person is Michael Pelletier.
How you guys doing? My name is Mike Pelletier. I own the Ward 6 also. Okay. I'm pro-cannabis also, for the simple reason
Mr. Pelletier, what's your address?
On 31 Garfield Street, Lawrence. I'm a Lawrencean. I've been here for over 40 years. Many of you guys know me. I am pro-cannabis also. What I've learned from this, grew up on North Side where Mr. Maldonado lives. Back in the 70s, I've been on that side. I live on South Side. The two most toughest streets are Springfield Street, and back in the day was Spruce Street. And I've seen what cannabis does. We have a huge opiate problem here. And I know for a fact, and I've seen it over and over, that people break free from the opiates that the physicians have given them. They've given them opiates, they can't buy it, so when the prescription runs out, they go to the streets to buy dope. Now, cannabis is a proven fact that it's helped people. So I don't have much time, but if we regulate it, put places for it, and make it a small number like like back in the day, the strip joints. Only a few. Let that happen. This way you can control it. It's a designated place for it, and it's a good for the people. Now, there's a lot of good brothers and sisters here, and I understand that, but I believe, like my brother just said, they are being led by religion. And religion is people like that crucified Christ. So we don't want to say that, but that's the truth of it. Religion is like that. Religion is like that. The law, right? The law, the Jews, they crucified Christ. It wasn't, you know, the Christian or the good people. It was those that were led by it. And that's what happens. You need to really put yourself and think, how is this going to work for the city? Not just religious hearsay, but how's it going to work for the city? The mechanical of it. And it does work. Colorado has 5,000...
Thank you for your time.
It works.
I will ask that everyone is respectful of each other's comments. We might not agree, but we have to respect one another, okay? Thank you. Next person is Milagros Grullon. Name and address for the record, please.
I am here representing, my name is Milagro Grullon. I will use my Lawrence address, 582 Essex Street, where we have the Pastors Association, which I am representing today. We are not religious folks. We are folks that care about our community. I am appalled that someone would say that this is a benefit to the city. As a long-life resident of the city, I am embarrassed to hear that they would take an opportunity, someone would take an opportunity to legalize a substance that would eventually kill our youth, because this is truly a gateway. You have in your packages, we provided you some information regarding the uses and the effects of the cannabis. And we provided so that the concept that we are religious folks, just trying to push religion on folks here, it's very different. SAMHSA gave you all the stats that you have there, and they have recently just came out. As families that have been affected by marijuana and every other drug, we stand here to support the referendum to stop the build out of any type of business in this city. We have paid our taxes as people that attend a church that gives us moral principles. And we are appalled that this will even come to this when it should be a given, that we do not want any more violence. How can we say that this will help the police department? How can we say that this will make it easier? This will make it easier for more of our youth, specifically our minority youth, to be incarcerated, create more crimes in the city. I will not stand for this. Thank you very much for your time.
Again, please hold your applause. Next person is Rebecca Mori. I think I might be pronouncing your name improperly.
Yeah, that could get confusing.
Name and address for the record, please.
Good evening. I'm taking Rebecca's place. My name is Dr. Marion McNabb. Dear esteemed members of the City Council, thank you for letting me be here tonight. I'm a public health doctor by training, and I'm here because I believe Lawrence can successfully allow...
Your address?
25 Magnus Avenue, Somerville, Massachusetts.
Thank you.
I'm here because I believe Lawrence can allow a successfully regulated and safe adult use cannabis market that takes youth prevention and public safety issues as the highest priority. I have done a full scientific evidence review and policy memo for the committee, as well as an executive summary, and put together some recommendations that could be considered to make sure that the public health and youth prevention activities are encouraged. We know that youth consumption is a big concern in Lawrence. However, there are several strategies and campaigns that have been documented in other states to work well to prevent use from accessing legal cannabis. Sales and retail establishments will require an ID, allowing use for those over 21. If legal adult use sales are banned in Lawrence, it's safe to assume that people will continue to access cannabis from the black market and have the potential to access untested and potentially laced cannabis that can cause serious health problems, or residents may simply go to other towns to access. If Lawrence If adult use sales are approved, Lawrence could design models for regulation, youth prevention, and increased medical usage of cannabis that can be a leader in working with the surrounding communities. Many here today claim that cannabis is a gateway drug for other substances. However, there is much evidence of the medicinal value of cannabis that should not be ignored. Many in the field now are calling cannabis an exit drug because the science and the evidence as its potential to impact the opioid epidemic. As we know, Lawrence has one of the highest rates of opioid addiction in the Commonwealth. However, several studies have documented a range of 30 to 80% reduction in medical patients' use of opioid prescriptions. That's at least 5 or 6 studies that I've cited in the last 3 years.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next person is Joshua Alva. Name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, Joshua Alba, 198 Prospect Street. My comments come from a place of love and care for my community, as well as my family and the youth that I serve in the city. Here we are presented with an opportunity to not only increase tax revenue. This is not just about money, but it is, because we're a cash-strapped city. Not only provide jobs, but prevent crime, increase public safety, public health, and build community through education. Cannabis, pot, weed, marijuana is here to stay, whether it is sold legally or illegally in Lawrence. It is being bought, sold, and used every day by all kinds of people, good people, people who go to church, public defenders, doctors, single mothers, and the elderly for various reasons. Some to relax from a stress-filled world because it is a safer and more pleasant option than alcohol, which is a clear problem in our community. Others use cannabis to replace prescription medicines for chronic pain, depression, anxiety, seizures, PTSD, and other illnesses, a fact that has been used to dramatically reduce opioid abuse in other cities, as Marion just stated. Even still, others use cannabis to be creative, to think more critically, to be more appreciative, and be better able to contribute to our city. Hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions, are being made by hustlers sneaking around, some right on my street, serving customers from around the region, making my community less safe, only because of the prohibition on the sale of cannabis, a plant that is less addictive than caffeine. Instead of wasting my tax dollars on a failed drug war that disproportionately arrests and imprisons blacks and Latinos, let's show the community of Lawrence that we are forward-thinking. By regulating and legitimizing these hustlers into homegrown entrepreneurs, owning their own local businesses before more affluent communities do so before us. With legalization, Massachusetts is expected $300 million by next year in the cannabis industry. Is Lawrence going to get a piece of that?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next person is Mr. Luis Piñeiro.
Buenas noches.
Name and address for the record, please.
Good evening. Tu nombre y dirección.
Mi nombre es Luis Pineiro.
My name is Luis Piñero.
Vivo en el 284 High Street.
Lives at High Street, 248, 284.
284 High Street.
248 High Street.
284 High Street.
Ok, nos alegra mucho poder estar aquí esta noche.
I'm pleased to be here tonight.
Yo soy pastor de la iglesia Templo Bíblico.
I'm pastor Life Temple.
Y nos alegra que esté el alcalde Dan Rivera.
I'm also pleased to see the mayor here.
Así como también el jefe de la policía.
Also to see the chief of police.
Y ustedes miembros del concilio.
And the council as well.
Porque este es un caso muy importante.
This is a very vital case.
Hay problemas serios en la ciudad de Lawrence.
There's severe problems in the city of Lawrence.
No sé si ustedes como concejales se han dado cuenta en su distrito de lo que pasa en Lawrence.
I'm not sure if you've been aware of what's happening in your district in the city of Lawrence.
Nosotros nos oponemos a la venta y consumo de la marihuana.
We are opposed to the sale and the consumption of marijuana.
Que sería muy dañino para la familia.
It would be very damaging to the family.
Porque ya en la ciudad de Lawrence yo creo que no cabe más droga.
Because I believe that in the city of Lawrence there's no more space for any other drugs.
Ya se ha bautizado como la meca de las drogas.
It's been baptized as the Mecca of drugs.
Si aprobamos nuevos negocios, dar licencia para más negocios de venta de droga, no solamente veremos el problema de la deserción escolar.
By approving any other licensing or legalization of any drugs, we will see the declining of school, school district and school grades.
Ya, aquí vamos a tener que salir los padres, las madres, los hermanos, todo el mundo.
The family will have to come out. Everybody in the family will have to come out.
Los parques están llenos de consumidores y venta de marihuana.
Parks are saturated with marijuana and sales of marijuana.
Ya no se conforma con los puentes.
They're not satisfied with the bridges.
¿Y ustedes sabían dónde están los puntos de droga?
¿Cómo fue?
Que si el jefe de la policía y el alcalde saben dónde están los puntos de droga.
His question is if the mayor and the chief of police know where the drug spots are at in the city of Lawrence.
En cada uno de los distritos de cada uno de ustedes, concejales.
Thank you, Mr. Piñeiro. Thank
Please.
you. Thank you.
Solamente 30 segundos, please.
Thank you, Mr. Piñeiro.
Please.
Thank you. We have. Thank you. Thank you. Next person is Gustavo Paulino.
Why he's going please, he could have said what he wanted to say.
Name and address for the record, please.
Yes. My name is Gustavo Paulino. Most of you know me. That is not important. What is important is that that community know each one of you. You are there supposed to represent that community. You know that the City of Lawrence do not want retail marijuana establishment. And you are supposed to vote against all those establishments. Now, I only want to remind you that and challenge each one of those members of this community that if you do not vote as we want, 3-4 months, November is there. Yeah? November is there. If you do not represent me, if you do not vote like this community wants, then we have to look for someone that represent this community and look only for those things that bring benefits to this community. Because most of us know the negative effect of the marijuana. Now, I don't know no one positive effect of the marijuana. So I challenge that community. Pay attention how each one of those vote and wait for November. Thank you.
Mr. Paulino, can you please provide us with your address for the record?
I'm sorry?
Your address for the record.
50 Forest Street.
Thank you. Next person is Lindy Galland. Lindy Galland. Oh.
She's coming.
Wendy Gallon.
Good evening, Lawrence City Councilors. For the record, my name is Wendy Gallon. My address is 196 West Street, Lawrence, Massachusetts. I am here tonight to support the class workers, the SEIU workers. They do good work and they deserve to be paid a livable wage. It is time to send the class director the message that he has to begin to appreciate good workers. The job that these workers do for the disabled who attend the class agency is excellent, and it's a very valuable work, and it's time that they get proper recognition. Thank you, councilors, for allowing me the chance to speak tonight. And as far as the marijuana issue is concerned, I leave that decision up to you. Just because a substance is legal, whether or not it's good or bad, All a person has to do is say no to it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person is Benny Espaillat.
Benny Espaillat in 85, 87. I use one of my buildings where I do business here in town. I represent over 120 of my clients, not because of shoes or because of church, but because they are my tenants. And I did a survey sort of with my own tenants asking what would be their position. So I'm here to represent my people. As an individual, I believe that we should respect the voice of the people. It was stated back in November with 58%. We should respect that. That's the democracy. Now, when it comes to legal matters, I will stand with my people, with our people, that it's a moral issue. It's not a legal issue that we stand for. And when it comes to business, let's talk about business. I'm willing to sit down with anyone who wants to be part of this pro-marijuana and recreational in Lawrence. I would like to sit down and spend whatever time to talk about business in Lawrence. I've been here since 1974. And a lot of these people who are speaking up pro-marijuana could be my son or my daughter. And I highly respect and I admire them that they can make a stand for something that they believe. But however, there are certain things that we disagree. I 100% disagree, and I hope that you, representative of the community of Lawrence, you respect what happens back in November. 58% said no. And we should respect the voice of the people, not a voice of few people. The voice of the people was 58%. Respect that. And lastly, we're going to do it. We're going to make it, regardless if we're against or not. Those people that wants to...
Mr. Paya.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. But those people who wants to...
Thank you, Mr. Espaillat.
Who wants that, yes,
Next
go to
person.
Lowell and go to Haverhill.
Gregory De Rosario.
Only 4 miles away.
Mr. Espaillat. We only have time for 2 more speakers. Name and address for the record, please.
Good afternoon, Gregory De Rosario, 322 Ann Street. I'm here, as Benny said, I wish that the majority of the voters actually be respected. Lawrence actually voted not to marijuana. If it would be a city election, marijuana would be banned from Lawrence. Yes. Most of the people, they are pro-marijuana, they all talk about revenue, but they don't talk about these kids, the little girl that's around us, my son, my daughter, and my little daughter that is about 2 months growing up. We don't need dispensers. We have plenty of liquor store, which is hard enough, to add marijuana dispensers to Lawrence. We voted no, and we'll say no, and we hope you, the councilors, respect that and represent us the way that you should do and said no to. Thank you.
Next person is Douglas Haman.
That's Douglas Haman.
Haman.
Yes, thank you. 91 Beacon Street. Last November, the people of the Commonwealth voted on question 4 to allow use of recreational marijuana, even though that hasn't been fully implemented yet. It isn't up to the mayor or the city council or the governor or the cardinal to say they know more than the people of the Commonwealth. Now, if people of Lawrence want to vote and not allow marijuana, that's okay. Don't have a problem with that. But it's up to the people of Lawrence. I say, first of all, if marijuana is available in other communities, it's probably get into Lawrence. I say, do something about opiates that are killing people. Do something about nicotine, which is killing people. Once we do that, maybe we can talk about marijuana, caffeine, whatever. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I am now submitting these names to the record. Now moving on with the agenda, public hearings. Document 11317, local option to prohibit the sale of marijuana in the city of Lawrence, placed on the agenda by Councilors Maldonado and De Peña. Mr. Clerk, please read the notice.
Document 113, 2017, notice is hereby given the City Council will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, July 11th, in Council Chambers 200 Common Street at 7 p.m. The purpose of said hearing is to gather testimony, information, and public input concerning the proposed amendment to the revised ordinances for the City of Lawrence to be amended by adding a following paragraph, new paragraph, section 29.9, to be determined and entitled concerning the marijuana non-medical prescribed use to be inserted in proper order, stating that consistent with General Law, Chapter 94G, Section 1, all types of marijuana establishments established or defined in General Law 94G, including marijuana cultivators, marijuana testing facilities, marijuana product manufacturers, marijuana retailers, marijuana dispensaries, marijuana laboratories, or any other types of licensed marijuana-related businesses are prohibited within the City of Lawrence. To the extent there exists any ordinances to the contrary, they are hereby repealed in that respect only. Persons wishing to be heard shall be afforded the opportunity as published on July 3rd, 2017.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Public hearing is now open. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to be heard?
Good evening, councilors. Dan Rivera, 1 Thomas Road, Mayor of the City of Lawrence. I come to stand before you today to encourage you to pass the prohibition of commercial marijuana in the City of Lawrence. The issue for us here today isn't whether or not we should allow commercial or recreational marijuana to be sold. That has already been that already happens in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. The question is whether or not it should be sold in Lawrence. And I have to tell you, I have my hands full. The chief of police have his hands full in dealing with the perception that Lawrence is only a place where drugs can be bought and sold. And so I ask you to help me change that perception. And if folks want to go out and buy either buy medical marijuana or commercial for recreational use, they go to another town to do that. Now, I grew up here. I'm a kid from the projects. And I gotta tell you another reason why I think this is a bad idea. And that is because there's already too many ways for our community to find escape from reality and not a productive life in society. That bothers me. It's harder to find a job than to find a joint. And we should change that. We should make it easier to find the job. But I can't do that if everybody only thinks that the only thing you can bring to Lawrence is stuff that has to do with drugs. I am for the decriminalization of marijuana. Far too many young people get arrested and spend too much time in jail for something that is not at the same level as a heroin or a cocaine, and I think that the Justice Department needs to fix that piece of it. That definitely needs to be fixed. Too many people spending too much time in jail. But I gotta say again, this is not about whether or not we can sell it or use it in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. That's been decided. But we have the right as citizens of Lawrence to say no. We have the right to say we don't want marijuana, we don't want a strip club, we don't want a dump. Those are the things that are considered not good for our property values. And I know, everybody come up here and said all the problems we have. Trust me, I know intimately how many problems we have. I live it every day. But I gotta tell you, I got my hands full, I don't need another. So I would encourage you today to vote for the prohibition of commercial marijuana sales in Lawrence. Thank you.
Name and address for the record, please.
My name is Angel Gill, 31 Main Street, Lawrence, Mass. I've been a citizen of Lawrence for over 35 years. I'm here in favor of the marijuana, not against it. And just before I begin talking, I want to give you a little background on myself. My mother worked 2 full-time jobs here in the city, and from one factory out to another. I never saw her. She was always at work. My sister raised me. I learned how to speak the English language and speak in English first. So I used to communicate with my mother in English and she in Spanish. She didn't even understand what I said, but my sister used to translate for the both of us. Fast forward, I learned Spanish in church reading the Bible. My mother is a Seventh-day Adventist. I think I see one of the pastors here. She's been a member of that church for over 30 plus years, a staunch member. I went to high school, graduated in 1993 from Lawrence High. I never did drugs in high school, ever. I barely made it out of high school. I tried college just to please my mother, but when I was graduating, I was 16, I didn't really have the mindset for it. I wanted to try working because I was a poor youth needing to get a job and try to make a name for myself. I didn't have any grants, I wasn't that smart in school, but I had to work for what I got. I tried the school thing, I flunked out, 0.0 GPA at Fitchburg State. All right. I moved on in my life, ended up having a child, becoming a single father, put my life in perspective, moved back to Lawrence after living out of the state for a few years, decided I got to do better for myself, so I decided to go back to school. In school, I was having difficulty writing papers, composing, putting stuff together, so I decided to get tested. Found out I was dyslexic, and I had ADD, making it difficult for me to focus and put my words in an evil plane. I could still think, but it just took me a little while longer to figure things out more than other people. Fine. I got that figured out. Once I figured it out, as an adult, as a conscious adult, I was introduced to marijuana. I do have a medical card for the medical marijuana. I'm a registered medical marijuana patient, and I like to say, when I started using the medication, for me it's medication, for other people call it a drug, whatever, it helped me focus. It helped me do better in school, and all around, it just helped me in general. With progressive, moving forward, it helped me in a lot of ways. I graduated from Northern Exeter Community College. I ended up getting a presidential award, Student of the Year, for one of the papers I wrote, helping the city of Lawrence combat, at that time, was a high rate of auto thefts and auto theft insurance fraud. I was one of the people that pointed it out to the police chief what was going on and how were things going on, based on my research and my report. This guy right here. I ended up going to UMass Lowell, got my undergrad in sociology and criminal justice, criminology, earned my master's with a 3.88 GPA, summa cum laude. I walked, 2008. All high on marijuana, by the way. Okay? So, that people say marijuana is a gateway drug, I don't think so. I have never tried anything but marijuana. And I grew up here during the crack epidemic, during the heroin epidemic, during the car theft epidemic, during the Lawrence fires. I lived when the Lawrence riots in 1984, when there was racial wars. I seen detectives, police officers in the cities turn into crackheads and go into drug spot and steal crack from other people, you know what I mean, and beat crack them themselves. I was beat up by the cops here in Lawrence and falsely accused, and I beat the case, and I ain't talking crap, you can look at my record. So, talking about labels, it's easy to throw labels around, especially, oh, marijuana, it's only a bunch of criminals, and they want to associate it with the more heavier element, opioids and serious drugs, without really looking into it and studying the research behind it. You know, it's just rhetoric and religious ideology that's being spit out here. And this country, the Constitution was written, and it was separating the church and the state for a reason. We don't base our lives based on religious ideology, but moral principle and idea. And believe me, all the stuff that's being spit out is just ideology, hate that's been taught, negative about the plan, and it's so far untrue. If you're gonna make a decision, think about it like this. I was teaching here at a Lawrence Training School for 2 years. I taught over, I don't know, maybe 5,000, 6,000 adults that went through there. And my assessment of those adults that went through there, maybe more than 40% of them didn't even have a 4th grade literacy. They couldn't even write their name on an application that are coming into this country. Adult men that have families, that own businesses, that have houses, that go to church, can't even read or write.
You have to stay focused on the marijuana issue.
I'm focusing. So, based on that, on this catch-trap city, you know what I mean? With the revenue this could generate, you could focus on literacy programs for adults, better teachers for our schools, in Lawrence Public Schools, a better police station that is crumbling, more cops, more fire department. I could go on and list all the positives that benefits the city. If you guys really think about this and move all the rhetoric out of the way and all the negative propaganda and really focus on the issue, I think if you guys think about it, come up with a think tank, you guys could really come up with a sound plan. That could be a model, not only for a city, but the state. And we could show them how it's done right. But to throw a blind eye and just throw negative labels at something that, I get it, and I understand their concerns, and I agree with them. But wouldn't you rather want to regulate it, have the cops involved, the city involved, working as a team to try to get it out of the parks, like these people say? Even the mayor right now said it. Oh, I'm against marijuana. I'm not voting, so I don't have to say that. I'm against marijuana, but I agree, you know, there's serious opiate crisis. Contradictory statement. So, yeah, there are, you know, opiate crisis and people being locked up for a whole bunch of other serious stuff, and they decriminalize marijuana. Because there's been studies upon studies upon studies, $1 million in research that prove to the fact that marijuana is not a gateway drug and is not leading to other things. Spend your resources on something else and take the advantages and benefits of this and help move the city forward in the proper way, folks. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please note, I know that there are some people in the audience that are confused as to why I am allowing people to speak for over 2 minutes. This is the public hearing. In the public hearing, there's no time limit. So I will encourage anyone who's speaking to summarize your comments to allow others to do so. But if you do have valid information that you wish to provide to the council, you can continue to speak, but just be conscious of the time. Again,
The noise in the gallery.
we have to stay quiet. If everyone in the audience is not quiet, the city council, I will request the city council to recess until we are all quiet in the chamber. We need to be respectful of everyone who's speaking. When you are here speaking, you can only talk about the marijuana issue at this point. Whether you're in support of it or against it, that's all you can address the council for, because that's a document that we have in front of us. Thank you. Name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, dear elected members of the City Council. My name is Joette Cameron Santos. I am a Lawrence resident, and I live in 15 Wood Lane, Lawrence. I must state that I address you as a private citizen, a resident of the city, and that my testimony and statements do not represent the federal government, the Department of Defense, or the United States Air Force. I address you to strike down and vote against the proposed ordinance restricting the sale of cannabis within the city limits. The people of Massachusetts voted and spoke in favor of legalization and control. It is now your job as the elected employee body by us, the citizens, to responsibly implement the law, and allow for the administration of revenues from said law. Mass General Law, Part 115, Chapter 94G, Section 3, allows the city to impose a local city tax of 2%. We do not collect those monies currently under the black or gray market. We have been paying to fight it, and now it is legal. It is a legal revenue stream. Your vote to restrict the sale would actually become a vote enacting and implementing an underground industry and thus endorsing, yes, endorsing illicit sales and a dereliction of taxation policy. Furthermore, if nothing has changed as of today when I looked at the law, it states that a city may only adopt an ordinance or bylaw by a vote of the voters of that city or town if the ordinance or bylaw prohibits the operation of one or more types of marijuana establishments within the city. And further, that the city council of a city shall file a petition within the city clerk signed by not fewer than 10% of voters voting at the state election preceding the filing of the petition. Request that the question of whether to allow in such city or town the sale of marijuana and marijuana products for consumption of the premises were sold be submitted to the voters of such city or town at the next biannual state election. So do I not understand this correctly, that the law as enacted prevents you from passing this ordinance without bringing it to a vote? If this is incorrect and an item needing clarification, I ask the discussion or rebuttal to my comment be tabled and the public addressed with such correction after my testimony. Dr. Richard Evelyn, an economist and professor of ethics and economics at the Citadel, wrote, "What is the role of government in society? That is the most fundamental question in all political discussions and debates. How we answer determines the nature of the social order and how the people are expected and allowed to interact with one another on the basis of either force or freedom. And the alternatives are simple. The government may narrowly be limited to perform the essential task of protecting each individual's right to life, liberty, and honesty, and honestly acquired property, or it may be used to try to modify, influence, or dictate the conduct of the citizenry. In the first case, the government is assigned the duty of impartial umpire. You enforce the societal rules against assault, murder, robbery, and fraud. In the second case, government plays a role in people's affairs, using its power of coercion to determine how the members of society conduct themselves, how they live, work, and associate with each other. The government tries to assure certain outcomes or forms of behavior considerable desirable by those who wield political power. Therefore, I ask you abstain yourselves from voting on this matter based on personal religion or personal belief or personal morals when ethics are not an issue on this one. I am just assuming that this is the case for some. Such a narrow frame of reference for said vote excludes a large swath of our population from participation in government if this is so. Our own city charter states, the inhabitants of the city of Lawrence shall continue to be a body politic, and as such shall live, exercise, and enjoy all the rights, immunities, powers, and privileges, and shall be subject to all the duties and its obligations. Don't approve this ordinance. If you vote to enact this ordinance, I request that a basis for said rejection and prohibition be provided to the citizens based on sound analysis and economic impacts to the city.
Court reset, please. Thank you.
This analysis is to be supported by statements of fact and empirical data from credible sources. So prohibition was repealed in 1933. It has been 84 years. All stigma is gone, so much that many of your political fundraisers are held in clubs and bars. Our local economy is supported by taxation of alcohol. So if your fear is an increase in consumption, fear not, it will decrease just as it did after 1933. Milton Friedman, the economist, said, The proper role of government is exactly what John Stuart Mill said in the middle of the 19th century. The proper role of government is to prevent other people from harming an individual, and it was not the right to interfere with an individual for that individual's own good. Don't redraw the line for us. Do not hinder our executive agent, which is the mayor, from carrying out his or her duties as the manager of our business and revenue to provide for an economy that will support for the improvement of our city and the services it renders to its citizens. As Thomas Jefferson said, I know no safe depository of the ultimate powers of the society but the people themselves. And if we think them not enlightened enough to exercise their control with a wholesome discretion, the remedy is not to take it from them, but to inform them of their discretion by education. This is the true corrective of abuses of constitutional power. This concludes my testimony.
Thank you. Name and address for the record, please.
Good evening. My name is Ascension Vasquez. Oh, necesito intérprete, okay.
Can you repeat your name, please?
Ascension Vasquez.
Ausencia Vázquez?
Yeah. Estoy aquí en contra de la marihuana.
I am here against marijuana.
Soy madre de 4 hijos.
I am a mother of 4 kids.
Tengo 7 nietos, soy abuela.
I have 7. I am a grandmother of 7.
Y tengo 3 hermanos
And I have 3 brothers
con problemas de adicción.
with addiction problems.
Amo a Loren.
I love Lawrence.
Amo los 80,000 habitantes de Loren.
I love the 80,000
residents.
Residents, that's the word. Thank you.
Estoy aquí porque veo que Loren es como un barco que se está hundiendo.
I am here because the city of Lawrence is like a sinking ship.
Hay una hemorragia.
I don't know how to say that.
What was that?
Hay que cortarla, hay que pararla.
We have to cut it down. We have to stop it.
No solamente el jefe de la policía.
Not only the chief of police.
Esto es de todo.
It involves everyone here.
Parte de mi familia está perdida.
Part of
No
my family is
existe.
lost. They don't exist.
Me queda una parte que estoy aquí y la estoy defendiendo.
There's a part of my family that is here, and I am defending them.
Tengo 3 hermanos
I have 3 brothers.
que comenzaron a iniciar la droga, haciendo droga con marihuana,
I have 3 brothers that started using marijuana. That's how they started.
viviendo aquí en los Estados Unidos.
Living in the United States.
Hay 2 que fueron deportados
2 of them were deported
por causa de la marihuana
Because
que
of the
iniciaron a consumirla.
because of initiating smoking weed, smoking marijuana.
Mi hermano menor está preso en Nueva York, en Búfalo.
My small brother is in prison in Buffalo, New York.
Alexis Padilla,
Alexis Padilla,
preso número 04A4094.
prisoner 04-84094.
Está por causa de la violencia por consumir marihuana.
He's in prison because of consumption of marijuana.
Inician con marihuana
They start with marijuana
y continúan con otra droga,
and they continue with all the drugs.
porque todo comienza con un inicio
And everything starts with
y después
with the beginning
sigue
for everything.
otro más elevado, otra droga más fuerte.
And then they continue to more dangerous, stronger drug.
Mi hermano mayor, José Manuel,
My oldest brother, Jose Manuel,
consume droga.
he takes drugs.
Ha estado preso.
He has been in prison.
Es una persona totalmente irreconocible por la droga.
You cannot recognize him now because of the drugs.
Ese problema nos está afectando a todos
That problem is affecting all of us
en la familia.
in the family.
Mi mamá
My mother
ha sido internada
has been hospitalized
por los golpes que le da a mi hermano cuando está drogado.
because of him hitting her mother.
Ella no lo reporta
She does not report it
por amor que le tiene a su
because
hijo.
she loves her son.
Mi hermano que está preso,
My brother is in prison.
hubo una redada, la policía fue,
The police came and did a,
y yo estaba en ese sitio,
and I was in that place,
en la casa.
in the house.
Mi hermano lo corretearon y entró a la casa.
And my brother came inside the house.
Cuando la policía entró atrás de él,
When the police came after him,
él entró la droga en mi cuerpo,
he put the drugs in my
la
body.
entró en mi bolsillo.
He put it in my pocket.
Le doy gracias a
I
Dios
give God thanks
que a mí no me revisaron,
that they did not check me,
si no yo no estuviera aquí.
because I would not be here.
Todo eso es consecuencia
This is a consequence
comenzando por marihuana.
beginning with marijuana.
Estoy en contra de la
I
marihuana.
am against marijuana.
Me quedan pocas las familias aquí en Loren
I
viviendo.
only have a few family members
Y
in
no
Lawrence,
quiero que mi familia se
and I
pierda
don't want my family
por
to be lost.
legalizar la marihuana.
Legalizing the sale of marijuana.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Name and address for the record, please.
Scott Brodsky, 27 Mystic Street, Charlestown, Mass. So, what we're hearing today is a lot of emotion about marijuana. As we just heard of that lady there, and unfortunately, a lot of that emotion is tied to experience, and that experience shapes our perception of marijuana. But what we really need to start looking at is the facts and the actual data that's out there. And for one, what we're talking about today is medical marijuana dispensaries, and the city of Lawrence being able to make a decision whether they want to allow those types of dispensaries to exist in the state, in the city, and as well as open it up to other opportunities within the cannabis industry. Well, first off, let's look at how we talk about the danger of marijuana. And I have a study here that talks about the total reported deaths from 1997 till June of 2005. And this is marijuana compared to FDA-certified drugs. Drugs, common names such as Ritalin, Wellbutrin, Adderall, Viagra, Vioxx, Halidol, lithium, Neurotonin, Baxoflin, Xanaflex, Compazine, Reglan, Marinol, Zolfran, Enzamet, Kitrol, names that are very difficult to pronounce. And these are antiemetics, antispasmodics, antipsychotics, and other drugs that are used to treat conditions such as ADD, narcolepsy, erectile dysfunction, and pain. And out of all the study, what they found was all those FDA-approved drugs, there were 10,008 known deaths that were attributed to the taking of those FDA-approved and doctor-prescribed drugs. In addition to that, during that time, there were 0 deaths that could be attributed to in taking marijuana. 0. And there has never been a reported case of a death from taking marijuana. Now, you can look that up, and I urge you to do so, because it's not a dangerous substance, as many people seem to perceive that it is. It has many, many beneficial medical uses, and you can look in the example of parents who have children suffering from epilepsy, and they have been trying many, many different pharmaceutical drugs that have been prescribed from doctors, and their children are on a handful of pills and still experiencing 30 or 40 seizures a day. And they make the transition from these pharmaceuticals to CBD treatment, which is derived from the cannabis plant, and those seizures go down to 0, or 1 seizure a day. You can't deny the empirical evidence there that there's medicine here. And for Lawrence to, close its eyes to the medicinal benefit here and say that, we don't want to accept that, essentially what that does is it keeps marijuana, it keeps it in the black market. When you have an opportunity here to embrace this substance that has medicinal benefits, as well as industrial benefits in the form of hemp. And right now, you have an opportunity to make a decision that could open the door to allow this city to start to revitalize itself through the use of a very beneficial medical substance that also has industrial applications that can benefit this planet in the way that we are currently consuming the world's natural resources for things like wood, to make paper, things like oil. All this can be replaced using the hemp oil and the hemp plant. And by looking at the science that's out there and the products that actually exist in the form of hempcrete, hemp plastics that are more beneficial and safer for the environment than the current forms of petroleum-based, well, you have to see that there is a huge potential here for Lawrence to really open its doors to maybe even allow to get rid of a lot of the bad element that people talk about and people are afraid of, and allow them, and the job creation that would exist from embracing this industry will really help to revitalize this city. And so that's something that really, I ask you to weigh heavily on and really think about, because here is the opportunity to begin that road, to allow for, safe medical dispensaries to exist within the city limits, for the city to benefit through the tax dollars that exist, that other states and cities have been able to do so, and also provide a safe alternative for patients who would like to go and get their medicine, and sometimes it's inconvenient to do so. They can't get to some of the medical dispensaries, and having that here in the city to be able to do that takes those dollars out of the street, because maybe they're going down the street to some guy because that's the guy they know. Where if there's a dispensary around the street, now they can go, they can choose the medicine they like, because with the dispensaries, comes all the testing, and that's a big part of the medicine, is making sure that the medicine that's available is clean and regulated, and that comes from the production. And so by allowing the dispensaries to thrive and come to Lawrence, it's going to create more jobs and really give the patients an opportunity for a safer alternative. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Name and address for the record, please.
Kemal Bozkurt, 11 Woodland Court. Good evening, dear councilors. As a long-time librarian, as far as I know, Amsterdam, capital of the Netherlands, is the first city in this world legalized marijuana selling and using. Well, Netherlands is the first country in Europe after 50 years they might be sink by population, because Netherlands and other European countries, because of the using marijuana a lot, they are not having children. They are having cats and dogs. So population is going down. This is not a joke. This is a fact. As I said at the beginning, I work at the Lawrence Public Library for 18 years. Currently, I am the assistant director. During 18 years, my job wasn't only librarian. Believe it or not, we were and we are doing all kinds of job. Police department, thanks to for them, they are sick of tired to come to us. But by the way, our library is not the only library having this problem. When I speak other area directors, they have same problem also. When I speak, I have fact, dear councilors. We have, I myself, witnessed many times our staff and this great police department and then fire department and ambulance, they saved those people's life. We call a lot, and many times they are in even bathroom, even outside. So bottom line is, I respect people behind me. Maybe I am the most happy person in this city. The reason I'm saying, in my entire life, I never smoke, I never drink alcohol, I never use drugs. Okay? So, but drugs is most important issue right now. For that reason, how we can support? My dear respected city councilors and whoever listening and whoever is watching me at this moment, I love this city, city of Lawrence. I love this country, and I love 8 billion human beings because God created us. We have a responsibility. We need to save our children. Whoever is going to support marijuana, may God will not give those people, children, died early age. I am asking you, or anybody, would you like your children to die as age 25? Would you like children to have not complete children? So for that reason, please do not support, and I urge everybody also, let's save together humanity, and whoever is using marijuana, especially young age, school's age. So please, let's save together all of them, and let's have them support our community, and let's have them productive people in the future. And finally, I don't think any holy religion, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, support marijuana. I can challenge anybody. And finally, we will not have another chance to leave this world. For that reason, let's work together. Let's help our youth. Let's help our people who is thinking to sell or using the drugs. Find them another job. Have them a family. And let's have a healthy, wealthy society. Thank you.
Thank you. Name and address for the record, please.
Nathan Puff, Cannabis Community Care and Research Network. Everybody said a lot tonight, and I'd...
Speak closer to the mic, please. Speak closer to the mic.
Cannabis Community Care and Research Network, Nathan Puff.
Thank you.
I know a lot of folks have spoke tonight, and there's a lot of facts being thrown around, and I think one thing that if I could ask, just to not take up too much of your time, is that we're all fighting the same fight. I think both sides want the community to be able to thrive and the community to be able to be positive, and I think that education is very, very important to bring everyone together. I myself did 5 years in federal prison back in 2000, and I lost a brother to addiction, so I've seen both sides of it. And I think that if everyone tries to work together and fight on the same battlefield together to educate everyone and have everyone agree that there is a difference. A lot of these folks on this side have lost their children, their nieces, their nephews, and a lot of these folks on this side have lost their uncles, their brothers, their cousins to this issue. And I think that taking marijuana and giving it to the community recreationally with education, by educating the children, by educating everyone, it will release a lot of things from law enforcement's angle. They can go after the things that we really are scared for, that we really are worried about, and work towards educating each other, ourselves, and the next generations that come behind us to make sure that everyone has a safe place, a social community, that we can all have a center and a homeostasis. Thank you guys for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hello, how y'all doing this evening? My name is Tony Mejia. I congregate in Ebenezer's Church, and I live in 493 Havel Street. And I got a little something, just like everybody was saying, that it's more about religious beliefs, but I got a testimony of where I come from. Since 13 years old, I used marijuana. I was involved in gang activities since an early age. And for the grace of God, I changed my life around for God gave me that opportunity, right? But I did some studies to come and show you the short terms and long term of what marijuana could do to you, okay? The short-term memories, you'll have short-term memory problems, severe anxiety, paranoia, very strange behavior, seeing, hearing, and smelling things that aren't there, not being able to imagine
not able to tell the imagination from reality, panic, hallucination, loss of sense of personal identity, lower reaction time, increased heart rate, increased risk of stroke, problem with coordination, driving or playing sports, right? Sexual problems, up to 7 times more likely to contract sexual transmitted infection than non-users, okay? Long term, it says decline IQ, poor school performance and higher chance of dropping out, impaired thinking and ability to learn hard tasks, lower life satisfaction. Addiction, about 9% of adults, 17 of people who started smoking as a teen. Relationship problems, okay? So all these things I just mentioned to you, a lot of people maybe don't agree, but I did it myself. So I know how my past, took me to a wrong road. Usually, people that start doing marijuana at an early age, they become rebellious to their parents. They start doing the things they want to do because this is how I feel. But where's the morals now these days? Where's the belief that, you know what, now we see our youth right now, little kids that will curse you out. Before, you couldn't curse your older. Now because we believe that, oh, I got the right to do whatever I want. Where's the discipline? Today I could tell you that my life would have been destroyed, but I had an opportunity to change. The streets of Lawrence don't need an opportunity to have marijuana in the streets as legalized. Most of these people are talking clinically wise. So we're trying to say that this generation is sick right now. That's what we're hearing right now, everybody's point of view. They're saying that it's better because it's going to help people that are sick. I understand all that, but we're trying to say that our youth need medication to make them function and act like this is the reality, that this is all we need to do so we can move forward. We don't need drugs to move forward. We don't need a substance to succeed, to become successful. We don't need substance to become rich. We are seeing how the streets are running and becoming rich of the drugs. Now we're saying, let's bring it to you guys. Let's bring it for we could be legalized and y'all could make it rich. It's hard enough to make alcohol, to stop young kids getting alcohol. Imagine when the weed is around. How much problem we got with that they go to a liquor store, and once they go to the liquor store, tell older person, here, this is my ID, please buy me an alcohol, and they go buy. How easy for somebody to say, okay, buy me marijuana. So we saying it's okay. It's okay our youth to get destroyed. It's okay to see our streets to continue being the way it is because we could probably bring business to Lawrence. That's not how it goes. We don't need no more drugs in the streets. Since 13-year-old, I had 11 years in the street. I'm not talking about religion. I'm talking about a testimony. I am a live testimony of what drugs did to me, what the marijuana did to me, because it all started hanging out, smoking a cigarette, smoking weed, and from there it goes. A lot of people say it's not a getaway drug. How is it not a getaway drug? It's the first thing that everybody start using at an early age. Most of them start at 9, 12, 13. Most of these people are living the short-term part of marijuana. But most of the people that I could name right now that are my friends, I'm one of them, 1 out of 10, that right now is not using any drugs for 6 years clean. And I could tell you, when I went to college, I didn't need drugs to get straight A's, because now I got straight A's. And I'm trying to tell you guys, think about it. It's your kids, your generations, that's going to be access to this. It's so sad that we thinking that, we need medication for our kids. Since when in your time you need a medication to think, to breathe, to eat? No, this drug will control you. It's a beginning stage. Most of my friends that we beginning this started doing other drugs, and it's reality. Most of these people are living the beginning stages, but not noticing that in the future, there's a higher drug that's waiting for them. A higher high is waiting for them. But I am one of a million that's standing here saying today that, you know what, if we bring this to Lawrence, you guys are going to remember this, how streets is going to destroy themselves. The youth, we are saying that we need marijuana to grow, we need marijuana to make money. We need marijuana for what? To see more zombies in the streets. Because we see, that's what we see in the bridges, we see it all on our streets. Many parents are fighting with their kids because they use marijuana. That's so sad. The parents themselves are saying, you know what, I'm tired of my children. They tell me to give them advice, but I can't do nothing if they don't want to change. Imagine we bring in legalized business in Lawrence. It's going to be easier for them to do it. Nobody could control it. And I remember last week, and I'm going to stop here. Last week they said, oh, well, marijuana's already here. Just like I said, the coke is already here. The crack is already here. So we're trying to say that the next thing is coke, is crack? Think about it. Have a good night.
7 minutes.
To everyone in the audience, again, regardless of where you stand on the issue, please be respectful of whoever is speaking. Do not interrupt the person, either applauding or, you know, I think it's important that we allow everyone to express their opinion and that we are respectful whether we agree or disagree. If that doesn't happen, I will have to ask the city council to recess until we are able to understand that. Everyone in the chamber has to abide by it. If it doesn't happen, I will respectfully ask the city council to recess until everyone understands that. Am I clear? Thank you. Name and address for the record, please.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Walamo, and I reside at 94 Vermont Street. Thank you for the opportunity today. I work here in the city of Lawrence for over 15 years. I'm here today disputing the legalization and selling recreational marijuana in Lawrence. Are we not seeing that this will be a problem for our community? Are we not seeing the high rate of mental illnesses that range from bipolar, ADHD, ADD, depression, oppositional behavior defiance, and autism spectrum, just to name a few? How is this going to affect the group, or do we even care? Marijuana is not a cure for that. This isn't just a problem that we blame parents. It's my problem. It should be your problem. Our community and our environment help shape and influence our youth. To say that it's the parents' fault is to say that the use of drugs is entirely false. Parents need to do their part. Our community leaders, our elected leaders, our teachers, we have that responsibility. Everything we choose will influence our children, either positively or negatively. After even hearing what marijuana could potentially do, is the money still worth it? Let's invest in programs to help entice the youth to further their education. That is what's going to bring jobs to Lawrence, not the sale and use of marijuana. I've heard all night how marijuana will help Lawrence, and I still have not heard the answer. It is not the answer to Lawrence. It is not the cure to any illness. It's just going to go down. I'm asking you to have compassion towards Lawrence and its people. Think about your kids. Would you want that next door? Would you want a community? I just can't believe that we're here discussing that that marijuana is something that we say it's okay. It is not okay. At the end of the day, it is a drug, and like the guy who said he was under marijuana when he was in college, and that he said he was high, that's exactly what it does. Marijuana gets you high. I used to be a user. I know what it does. I don't need statistics to show what it does. It ruins people's lives. And I have kids. I care about my kid, I care about my neighbor's kid, and I care about Lawrence's kids. Thank you.
Thank you. Name and address for the record, please.
Peace. My name is Nathan Byers, 32 Arlington Street. Thank you. So I've heard a lot of opinions, a lot of concerns and fears, and I believe you guys are very intellectual individuals, and I urge you to listen to facts. I heard people talking about the perception of the city, our mayor talking about the perception of the city, and it is my belief that it doesn't matter what outsiders think of our community. Marijuana is not a drug the way we look at the word drugs. Marijuana is a plant. So if marijuana is a drug, cilantro is a drug. Sage is a drug. Basil is a drug. And that sounds absurd. The words we use hold heavy weight. Now, marijuana is already in our community. People are already using it. As Joed said earlier, it is now legal to use and sell in the state of Massachusetts. The benefits, we're able to tax it. There are a bunch of health benefits, even though you don't have to use it for the health benefits. To each his own. And since it's already legal, I think we should keep it that way. Thank you.
Thank you. Name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, councilors. My name is Jocelyn Marte. I'm here as an educator, as a social worker. I'm sorry, my address is 14 Mount Vernon Street in Haverhill. But I worked for the Lawrence Public Schools for many years. And I'm here as a social worker for almost 30 years. Someone who has many experience working with people with addiction. And more importantly, as someone who's has been severely affected by the disease of addiction in my own family. And I can tell you, I sit here and I listen to people saying that marijuana is not a gateway drug. False. I have worked for almost 30 years with people with addiction, and I can tell you from my experience, almost every single person that I talked to began their addiction with marijuana as a teenager, okay? And I think that the youth in Lawrence, and I can tell you because I work with them on a daily basis, they're struggling with so much right now. There's so many challenges that they face, and I cannot understand for the life of me why we will consider making something legal that would only make it worse. Many of my students are already using marijuana, and I can tell you half of them cannot function. They don't come to class, their mind is all disoriented, they're not motivated, and they talk about it. They're very honest about what's going on with them and what they're facing. So I don't understand why, if we have so many challenges in the city, we will even consider, for the sake of money, because we're going to get more revenues for the city. I'm sorry, our youth are more important than any amount of money that you can throw at this city. And we have so many people losing this drug epidemic. And yes, people are saying it's opiate, but guess what? People don't begin with heroin right away. And as I said before, as someone who has worked with people with addiction in New York City, in Massachusetts for many, many years, I can tell you that's how they started. And I don't think that we should be creating anything that will hinder the growth of our children, okay? We need to think about our kids first. They're our future. All right, and I'm going to end this with a quote that one of my family members said to me about marijuana, who's struggling with addiction 30 years later. He says to me, marijuana is the killer of dreams. Think about that. Thank you.
Thank you. Name and address for the record, please.
My name is Danny Nunez. I live at 24 Larchwood Road. And I'm here to ask that the council pass or against the marijuana agenda. All right, so I hear tonight that there's a lot of facts getting said and tossed around, and I brought some facts of my own. I'm here on behalf of the people that perhaps can't speak for themselves, I'm talking about the teenagers, the youth, my daughters, see, the young people of Lawrence. I was a young man of Lawrence one time. I grew up here in Lawrence. And let me tell you, I was introduced to drugs when I was under the age. I was 13 years old when I first started using marijuana. 13 years old. at the same time I was using alcohol and cigarettes. How can you, if you propose to start making recreational marijuana legal here, Lawrence, how are you going to tell me that you're going to stop it from the young people to get it in their hands? You can't promise me that, because there are laws set in place for that. Alcohol shouldn't have been in my hands, drugs shouldn't have been in my hands, but they were. And the majority of the people that you see here today that are marijuana users, I can guarantee you that the majority of them started when they were underage, just as I did and just as my friend did a couple of persons before. And I got some facts I want to talk about here. Doctor by the name of Sharon Levy. She's the director of Adolescent Substance Abuse Program at Boston's Children's Medical Hospital. She's also a developmental behavioral pediatrician and an associate professor of pediatrics at Harvard Medical Center. So she must know a few things. Number one thing that she says in her report, marijuana is harmful to adolescents. Repeated use of marijuana during the critical windows of brain growth and development of adolescence is associated with anatomic changes in the brain, drops in IQ, serious mental health disorders, and overall poorer functioning.
Can I please get a motion to recess?
Motion to recess.
Second.
Second.
Motion has been made and properly second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Excuse me, you are not allowed